What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Just got over here to Randy's. Actually, that's a lie. I've been here for a couple hours working on his hot rod. Got his motor completely disassembled. We didn't get it all disassembled last time. It just ran out of time. It was like 1 o'clock when I left Saturday morning. So we're back down here now. Got this thing apart, almost all apart. The only thing we got left to get out of it now is the camshaft and crankshaft. And then this thing will be ready to go to the machine shop. Let me show you what happened. Let me show you what we found. I didn't really find anything new, but I was just going to show you this thing taken apart where you can see it in a little bit more detail. Comment, like, and subscribe. Go to turbojohnracing.com if y'all want to support the channel. Thanks a ton for watching, guys. See ya. All right, guys, so this is Randy's motor. Y'all have seen it before, but this is, I'll go over it real fast with you again what it is. A Shelby block. This is a solid aluminum block. Of course, it's got steel inserts. He's got RFD SC2 heads. So these things are amazing. They are also solid. Notice they don't have any provisions for water ports at all. So they're solid as well. So we got a solid head, a solid block. So this is what you're doing on the new race car stuff, right? That's why we push them around the track. That's why we push them with the smart cars. They don't get driven. They get warmed up, burn out, 1/8 mile pass or 1/4 mile pass, and then it's ready to go. So let me show you what we found so far. We've had a couple issues. It's taken us a little time. We got this head off. Last time we looked at all the pistons over here, we found the one bad piston. We looked at all the rod bearings. All the rod bearings look fine. I will show you those over here now. And we kind of touched on them a little bit. You see the metal, this is from the main thrust bearing. It just got embedded into the bearing. The crankshaft actually looks pretty good. But the actual bearings themselves, none of them are beat out. None of them are damaged. None of the tops of the pistons are beat up real bad. We are having some piston contact with the intake valve on all of them. And I did try to clearance them a little bit by hand last time because I saw it. I'm trying to find the one. Number 2 is the one that is the big problem child. Oh, it's the very first one I took out. Duh. So this is the one. These are new rods. I got like 13 passes on them. But notice that bolt's not really coming out here, and or didn't screw in. What ended up happening, I don't understand, but there is a nick on the end of this bolt here, and it is not good. So I don't really understand what happened to this. That looks like a pretty fresh spot, and you say, okay, well, maybe it was like that when you put it in. Maybe we messed it up when we were going in. But if that would have been the case, it would have screwed out, and it didn't want to screw out. So it's almost like something got down in there and it hit it, which is probably pretty impossible since that bolt does not really protrude out. So, I mean, it doesn't protrude out of the end. Now, on some older rods I've had where the bolts come out and they hit the block or the sleeve or something, they hit. So we got another rod, we got a spare rod. We're going to put that other rod in. I mean, we probably take another bolt and we could probably run a thread chaser through it and probably clean the thread up. But the kind of power we're trying to make, we're just going to probably maybe use this as a spare if we ever have an issue. These are 990 pins. So this is a big pin. It's a big block Chevrolet style pin. It is not the small pin. 927 small block Chevrolet is what most people use, but this is upgraded to 990. Piston, you can see we've already got some side skirt wear on this. So we've been talking, me and Randy have been talking, and this block is, believe it or not, this block is now about 4 years old, and we have not actually bored it. We've been honing it. So what happens is motor runs, the pistons go up and down, rings go up and down, and it wears on the cylinders, right? And then we go back and hone it with a berry hone, and then what does that do? The berry hone wears on the cylinders. It makes it bigger. And so you can kind of see some piston rock happening here, I think is what's happening. I think what we're going to find is that this piston, I think we're going to find it needs to be bored, either 5 thousandths or 10 thousandths over, and we're going to need to get another set of pistons because this thing, I don't have the equipment. I'm not an engine builder. I'm an engine assembler. There's a difference. Engine builders do all the machine work. Engine assemblers do the assembly, and they, check stuff as they're going. So you can see I did clearance on inside there. It's like you can see where the piston really got hit, and that one is cracked, and that's from the valve. It's almost like the valve angle, the valve dish is not exactly in the right spot. And you can see on these other ones, I had clearanced them, but there's not much material in there. But it was still, you can see where I got in there with the little side grinder, but I didn't get enough. But the problem is if this piston is rocking in the bore, if it's rocking up, then it's going to be getting closer to that intake valve. So I think that's what's happening, is the piston rock. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe these pistons need to have just a bigger piece, bigger valve relief, or at a different angle. So we got some work to do on that, but it's not in terrible shape, so nothing super out of the ordinary. We did have a problem as well. Problem number 2. This is what took a long time today. This is our spud that goes onto the camshaft. This holds on our actual the timing, the top cam gear is what that does, and the spud here is somehow completely frozen in there. You notice it's raw metal. We have lubricated it up, put anti-seize on it, put grease on it, and it is damaged. So we don't understand that, but we got it out. That was a pain in the butt, so we got it off. Got the crank stuff all out. All the timing stuff looks okay. We do need to get some hardware on this thing though, like these little bolts here. It's an Allen bolt, so of course the Allen was stripped. So, because it's Allen bolt, so they damaged. So you had to pound a freaking star wrench in there. So we did that, got it going. So the camshaft, all this stuff still turns free. No issues here. Let me show you what I was talking about a little bit closer with the cam bearing. So it's only happening on these 2 cylinders. And I'm going to try to zoom in and see if you can see it. See the shiny right there to the right on that coming through. Right there on the right, on the side of that bushing. That is the cam bearing. So the cam bearing is walking back in the block for some reason. And it's only like that on 2. And so the other one is right there. So you can see it coming through. The video doesn't, you can kind of see it, but it kind of is hard to see as well. But it's down there. Sorry for the bad zoom. Let's see if I can hold the camera and get closer. So there it is, that's a better. So to the right of that lifter bore, you can see the cam bearing. So I don't know what exactly is happening there. We got to talk to some folks. Possibly what's happening is there again, like we talked about earlier, this engine is all aluminum. So we have all aluminum. We have no water in it. So what happens, right? So at the end of a day, end of the pass, you're making rounds. You made 6 or 7 passes that day, and aluminum is expanding. It is expanding. So if that bearing, that roller bearing, is got a certain press fit on it, because it's not, from what I understand, which we'll look at it in a minute, I don't think it is actually C-clipped or spiral locked in there. So if that's the case, the aluminum is losing its press, and maybe that's what's causing it to move a little bit. Maybe that's normal. Maybe it's not normal. I wouldn't think it would be normal. Maybe there's a way to get in there and lock that bearing in place. Maybe put like a little set screw in it or something so it can't slide. I don't know. So we're going to go ahead and snatch the crankshaft out, snatch the camshaft out as well. And then this thing will be ready to go. I don't know if I talked about it a minute ago or not, but notice this head stud is out. The reason why it's out is because it's stuck in the head. And what I was talking about the other day on this is this does not have the hats that are made into the actual head. So that is bare aluminum. Of course, we put, God, look at it, it's killed that aluminum. That's aluminum, it's so tight. We put washers on it, but what's happening is as you compress the head, essentially, because you're torquing down on these bolts, the aluminum on this one, this is the only one that done it, but on this one in particular is squeezing and squeezing, it's mushrooming inward, and it's biting down on the stud. So in order to get this head off, we had to put double nuts on it and started pulling it off. And as it was coming out of the block, it was actually lifting the head up off the block. It was like a jack screw, essentially. Threads on the block look good, so it didn't hurt anything on the block. That's a problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to get them to put the washers. Basically what they do is it's a washer that it's hard to describe. I'll put a picture of it. It's called a hat washer. And what it does is it goes down into the head permanently, and then that washer is built onto the aluminum, and it goes down probably a ½ inch into the head hole here. And basically you bore it out and then tap it down in there, and it makes it so that the head never compresses. So it's pretty neat. ARP sells them. It's real simple. It's real easy. You just have to have a machine shop install them so that they can be installed properly. I think everything looks good. Crankshaft, you know, there's no issues that I can see. Let me pull it apart. Let me spin it over real fast so you can see in the bottom. I mean, this is a powerful motor. You know, tune-up wise, I don't think is the issue. I mean, it could be, I guess. But, you know, the reality is in a race car, in a race engine, professional tuners blow stuff up all the time, too. Things break. I mean, we're drag racing. And so, you know, it's one of those things. I mean, maybe we are rattling it. Possibly. I mean, usually you see it in the piston, you see it in the rod bearings, you see it in the spark plugs. And we're not seeing any of that, but you know, it is what it is. We should definitely be getting more passes out of this thing. Crankshaft, I'm pretty sure, is not bent. We're hoping it's not bent. Obviously, I don't have a main bearing in there now, so if it was, we wouldn't be able to tell. Or if it was, we'd be able to tell better. I don't see it obviously moving. But this is a Callie's Ultra Billet crankshaft. So it's a nice crankshaft. Now this has got the roller thrust bearing in the front. So what I was talking about was what Jason Tyson does. And probably not the best recommendation, but you won't, if he puts all the thrust on the front up here, essentially what he does, the back one here is the one that takes all the load. So he takes this one and cuts it off and then leaves the front one. And then that way it can't slide back like that. And the thrust going forward from the torque converter pushing is handled by this roller thrust bearing in the front. And the one, even it goes backwards, is handled by the factory one, which is plenty capable of doing it. But so hopefully the block's good. Hopefully it doesn't need to be line honed. It may need to. Sometimes when the blocks, when you spin a main bearing, that's what you have to do. You have to line hone it to get it back all squared. So, but hopefully it's going to be fine. I think it is. So, all right, guys. Well, I guess we're done. We'll pull it apart. Like I said, I mean, we're going to send all this stuff to the machine shop. We got a punch list of things we're going to do. I think we're probably going to ask, and they're going to ask. I think the biggest thing is going to be boring it out, going to the next piston size up to make sure that piston stays good in there. And then possibly moving the valve relief a little bit to make sure that, you know, it is capable. You see, it's really close to the edge there. There's just not much meat there. There's not much meat at all. And that's the reason I couldn't really, I was scared to really get close to the edge, because then if you get it too close and it gets too small, then that's a spot that will heat up and potentially cause you an issue. It'll melt. Hey guys, so we got a crank out, got the camshaft out, so I was going to show you thrust bearing. That's what we were showing earlier. I'm pretty sure the block is probably fine. That is not beat up. It's got a little bit of material on it, but it's probably going to be fine. But we're going to slide the bearings back in there, and yeah, I think it probably just turned like a half a revolution. I don't even think it didn't fully grab it and spin it. But you can see the cam bearings. Look, that cam bearing. See how you can see right where it is. It is coming and stopping. The lifter is actually what stopped it from coming out and moving. So they might have to stake that down. None of them actually have any type of like retaining. That's the other one. So you can see how that is. None of them actually have, actually that one does. That one's got a spiral lock in there. So the spiral lock's in there. And then I guess on the front side is the materials holding it. And the back one does not look like it's got a spiral lock. That I can tell. It may. But so maybe what they need to do is when it's in the middle in the right spot, see how that one's dead in the middle, there's not much room. But maybe what should happen, take a stake or a chisel and stake those in there. So a long hammer, long chisel, a big hammer, chisel, kind of burr the aluminum up to hold it in place. All right.